Welcome back to another episode, another week of Net Talk. I'm Mitch.
I'm Alex.
How you doing, Alex?
I'm cold.
It's freezing in this room. We got to invest in a
Hate
heater.
winter.
Someone sponsor us so we can get a heater.
Yeah. I'm not looking forward to coaching early mornings now when it gets colder and colder
What's it early in the morning coaching for you?
every weekend.
Oh, at juniors.
State league?
I thought you. In my head, I went straight back to like
APC
school level
yeah.
volleyball. Yeah.
No,
And I was
never
like,
doing that again. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, neither. Slang time.
Yeah, I really thought a sleigh would pop up into my head as soon as we started.
Both of our sleighs are just empty right now.
We just thought we'd figure them out. Not been a good week. Not
been a good week for either of us.
I'll start with my shame then. Hopefully a sleigh comes to mind because I just skipped training yesterday or Tuesday. Very sorry.
Yeah. No,
To my team, it's just been, I just have had so much work to do. And
the uni stuff.
yeah, I really needed that day. And it was unfortunate that it was coming after a loss and a tough weekend.
Which we'll talk about.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
So shame to myself, but it'll be end of the semester, committing into the rest
When is your last thing due?
tomorrow night.
Oh, are you ready? Have you done it?
Yeah, some of it. That's the story.
We're a role model of a uni student.
Yeah, it's perfect.
I can't
Sleigh.
talk. I never went to uni.
No sleigh.
I
don't know.
That could be a sleigh.
Nah.
Yeah. Okay.
No sleigh.
All right. My shame is that someone stole my coaching book on the weekend. we were playing it in Power and playing against a team, lost in the fourth set, the P2 girls, and put my book down, go to shake hands, come back, book's gone. And it has my name in very large letters in the front.
Espionage.
And I was like, man, all right.
Someone's taken that for some
insights.
secrets. Yeah, for some secrets.
The only secret is you're either a good coach or you have really bad handwriting. I got really bad handwriting. It's really bad. So they're not going to be able to read anything in that book. And if they do, it's just going to be numbers of rotations.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's probably not a book that you write anything other than game day rotation stuff in. Do you do any reflection in it? I was going to ask, are you the type of person to keep your books over the years? Like some people keep this book from this season.
It's actually annoying because that is the only book I've kept for more than 1 year.
Yeah.
Every other book, I just buy a new one every year. I'm just like, all right, new book. I do have the book sitting around, so I can go through like old training plans and be like, this was a good one. Let's do this again.
Yeah.
But anyways, someone straight up just stole it. And I was like, oh, okay.
They need
Good
your
luck trying to
rotations. They're
decipher
trying to
that
get
shit.
your finals rotations in.
Yeah. I still haven't worked out starting rows for either of those teams, so that's fine. Fucking my
That's when you say you're keeping it under wraps. Like, you don't want to show your cards too early. You got to keep something in the back pocket for finals.
Yeah. Well, did that unintentionally anyways. You know what? My slate can be, we had a training last night. We kind of combined the P1 and P2 squads somewhat. And it was actually really good. Sometimes when you do that and you have like 30 people, it can be chaos.
Yeah.
But it was really good. The girls did really well. So they can have the slay of the week.
There's a few clubs that are good at navigating that. There's a few clubs that always do that, or that is their standard training protocol.
Well, I know of 2 clubs that do it, and I've asked their coaches directly, like, how it works. And then I realized very quickly the reason why it works is because they're 2 teams of 8 people.
Yeah.
So easy.
Helps out.
2 teams of 14 people on one court. Now that
Bit harder.
good luck for
Plus
those
a couple
coaches.
internationals that'll pick in and be training only and whatnot. Yeah.
I think on Monday we had 2 courts and we clocked like 33 athletes.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, it's just me because you didn't want to come help out.
Yeah. Never.
Fair enough. Moving on to the local scene, national scene.
National scene?
Yeah. We're just keeping an eye on all these AVL teams getting picked because it's like teams are either picked and they're keeping them under wraps or some states are doing trials like
What?
now.
How did New South Wales fly so under the radar that they don't even have their trials till the end of July?
We kind of clowned on Queensland and then we were kind of like, oh, wait, you guys had Champions League. That's so fair.
Yeah.
But
I
then
hadn't
New South
even-
Wales just slipped through.
I hadn't even noticed New South Wales. I thought they had done something.
Yeah.
But then they posted on their Instagram expression of interest for trials. And I was like, what?
Oh, it's a bit
This
late.
is so late. But yeah, the Melbourne Vipers teams have been picked and published.
Are they published? They will be by. No, that's the lie. They are published.
They're on the website. Anyone can access them.
True.
I believe.
Too late.
Too late.
Add the secret. Well, I think there's
the
a Instagram page that posted it from like an association.
That was like congratulations to our two athletes.
I was like, I rate that. I was thinking about this the other day though. Do you think New South Wales is late, or do you think they just because some states are trying to navigate
their own?
No, well, some states like us, we're trying to navigate how do you get an AVL squad together early and train throughout your state league season. I think some states maybe just sort of go, let's not bother.
Yeah.
Which I don't hate that because doing what we do on the Sundays and training on the Sundays throughout the year, if not managed properly, can lead to some issues and some large issues. I think
you're really trying to gel between a bunch of different
clubs
systems versus just season's done, new systems.
It's also just mental load and physical load throughout the year.
Would you know how many teams the New South Wales Premier League has? Because
last I checked, they had 8 in men and women, but that was like
because that's
2 or
also
3 years ago.
the biggest difference. I think Victoria and Queensland has a lot of teams as well.
Queensland
in
only
their top division.
have 8.
Oh, I thought they had 10. But like
they might have gone up to 10,
but like
actually.
WA and South Australia, I think only have 6 in their top division.
Yeah, I think
potentially
you're
off
right.
the top of my head.
Yeah.
So it's like you're picking from a smaller pool that already trains together, already knows. You're getting more people from similar clubs.
Yeah.
Versus Melbourne, you're pulling from a lot of different places.
Like
people
11
that are from
teams
wherever.
or so. Yeah.
But we'll navigate that when it comes to that season, when we do a little bit of team previews for each team. Everyone
gonna be hard this
will
year.
be on the edge of their seat waiting for what we have to say. No one cares.
No comment.
But we'll do a little preview for when we get around to that.
When it's relevant.
Yeah.
Not relevant.
Yeah. See how give teams chances to gel before then.
They get 1 week.
They get one.
They
week.
get round 1.
They get round 1.
In the international scene, there's a lot going on. A lot more beach stuff than either of us realize. Well,
I
You
sort of
realised it.
thought. I don't know why my brain is always so disjointed with beach volleyball. I thought it was coming to the end of like the international tournaments and seasons, but
it's the start?
It's kind of like the start of all the actual like just individual tournaments. So there's a fair few Australian national teams around doing the Challenge Cups overseas, but there's also like the under-21s in Thailand and the 23s tour that's somewhere else.
Because I'm seeing all these Oz teams get announced, but I don't really know what they're for.
Yeah, it's
But
just
I'm
for
assuming one of
random
these-
tournaments. Just for like it's nothing. Don't know if it would do anything really for world rankings. It's more just an international tournament
And just exposure.
for Australia. Yeah,
I had a random thought about this yesterday when the Oz posted. It's like 21s, I feel like.
yeah.
It's like, I guess it's a bit harder for indoor, but the beach athletes get so much more opportunity to play than indoor because we were talking about how the ABC Nations Cup is the only international event that we play all year.
Yeah.
So whereas like all these beach athletes get 6 tournaments to play, like
Yeah. Well, it's also realistically, you're only limited by your own
Like have-
time and money.
yeah,
But like you can get a lot more international exposure a lot easier
if you're good.
because you don't need to be in the specific national team of 12 players.
You can just be.
You can be with your partner and you can theoretically enter any international, like not really. Like
you
you
need
have to have
ranking?
ranking points.
Yeah, okay.
But you can enter the qualification tournaments for some of the lower star events.
Yeah.
And win your way through qualifications or just go and lose in qualifications, but you're still at least playing
Some games.
internationally.
Yeah.
But then I just wanted to note, because here's Viper. There we go. There's someone on the Vipers team
Yeah.
who's not in Victoria anymore, but
We
he'll
can
be
claim
an
him.
interstate. He'll be an interstate player coming back.
Same as Trent O'Day, we can claim that he's.
Yeah, well, he got Queensland on the Instagram post,
Yeah,
but
it's wrong.
James Kay is the reason why I forgot. And I was like, oh, he's in Thailand at the moment playing with Harley Sinclair. Has absolutely walloped his first two opponents. Had a 20-minute game.
Well, the second game,
They
kept them under 8 points. Like it was
Yeah,
something
both sets.
outrageous. Yeah.
which is just wild.
Yeah.
A 20-minute game at a international tournament.
Do you know the qualification process for that tournament? Like, is it similar to like an ABC where it's like just one representative from each of these
exist.
countries? A bit like, or is it like you actually have to? Well, somewhat be good to get in?
I'm pretty sure it just exists.
Just
because
exists,
I think the process, we should get someone from the beach side, one of the coaches or someone on that staff to come explain. But it to me, from seeing it, I think it's always just functioned that Australia selects their 2 teams and then they send them over.
Yeah.
I think it's an automatic qualification one. That one's based on the country rather than other ones that Mark Nicolaides and Isaac and Tom Hodges and Schubert are doing
Like ranking based.
personal individual teams. They are Australia's nominated senior national team, but there's nothing, I don't think that, like, there's nothing really required behind that.
Yeah, okay. Moving on, VNL, the men's week wrapped up middle of this week.
It was pretty interesting.
It was interesting.
Yeah.
And also, like, unsurprising at the same time.
Yeah, but I do think the men's teams this year are all pretty competitive. Seeing at least, like, the teams that are new, like Ukraine, are at least not going to get relegated this year. Probably. Maybe it's a bit too early to call, but they at least went 50-50 wins and losses in week 1.
I feel like most teams went through and had some decent success and some, I think that's just the nature of the part of the quad that we're in.
Well, I do feel like women's week 2 is now starting again, but going back to week 1 for them, I feel like there was a bit of a gap between
top and bottom.
Yeah.
Well, some teams are
there's
still,
a couple that float in the middle.
well, there's still some teams in the women's that are generally just go and take their A team.
Yeah.
Like Turkey, pretty much. Like Melissa Vargas is back. They've got
she
Sarah
didn't play week
Ganesh.
1.
They've like they didn't play week 1, but like they're playing week 2. But in saying that, the men's are doing something similar because Italy released their roster for week 2, which is next week, and that team looks disgusting, like just gross. But I haven't seen many other rosters released. But I wonder if the men's will somewhat look a bit similar to the women's, where you'll have countries that normally do really well that just continue to take developmental squads, like the USA, France, and stuff like that, that do middle of the pack stuff. You might get like a Bulgaria sneak their way up. I'm kind of hoping for it, and like
sneak their way into the top 8 or top 7.
I reckon they could. Top 7 because of what?
Well, yeah, maybe that's something we need to clarify because someone asked me about that as well. Because I said
top 7.
I said top 7, and so I was like, what? And it's like because China automatically qualified
because they're hosting it.
And I was like, what? And it's
I
like,
hate.
And it's like if they didn't automatically qualify, they'd be in relegation territory. But it's like
I actually really don't like that at all. Like I understand it for the Olympics because you're not like you don't play in the Olympics before you host the Olympics.
Yeah. But you
are
be
playing in VNL and you automatically, like, what is the point of playing?
Yeah.
You literally already made finals.
I guess it's like, imagine if you were still hosting VNL finals in China and China is getting relegated.
It's almost like pick a country that's always going to make finals, but it's been in Poland for like the last 5 years. The finals
since it's been VNL,
it's been in Poland. Like
it's probably still then when it was like nations. What was
I
it?
feel
World League.
World League.
Yeah.
But
maybe
like
you could pick the finals destination during the tournament.
I think they have to plan well.
A week before you finish the semi-final and you decide where it's going to be.
That's like the eligibility to get into top 8 is you have to be able to host as well.
We do have this timed a bit funny though because week 2's already started and there's already been some pretty interesting results because Japan went undefeated on the women's side week 1.
Yeah.
And they nearly immediately lost in 3-0 and then but somehow pulled out of reverse sweep
to the team that was on bottom of the ladder. No, are they bottom or are they just like
no? It was Thailand. Thailand's a bit
remember.
higher up there. They're not that low.
Actually, bottom of the ladder is Serbia because they. Someone said it on another podcast. I think it was the 9x9 guys. Serbia's such a weird because they're meant to be really good, but they just can't seem to put it together.
I mean, South Korea was second. Thailand's 4th last, if you count upwards, 15th.
If you count upwards. Nice.
Going up 2-0 against the team that hadn't really been challenged over week 1.
They've lost 2 sets of volleyball the entire, and those, like Japan, top of the ladder, they've lost 2 sets of volleyball, and it's to 15th Thailand. Maybe they just had a slow start. That's okay.
I watched it. It wasn't really a slow start. It was just everything was going right.
So the women's teams are a bit more predictable, but you've still got countries that are very clearly doing some developmental things, like USA sitting 10th. They've pretty much taken an NCAA all-star lineup. I did see, I think it was this morning, early this morning. They won against, no, sorry, they won against, they won against Serbia.
Yeah.
And Lexi Rodriguez had her debut, and Maddie Skinner was just like popping off. She scored like 30 points or something.
And USA women's volleyball in particular, I think, has no reason to be concerned about taking developmental players because they now have their own professional leagues in the US. So that's going to be their development.
And this is the thing, right, is I think that someone else made this comparison, and I don't know enough about Serbia to agree or disagree, but from the looks of it, it seems like that's a plausible outcome, is that USA have so much depth. They're taking a developmental team and they're still not doing that badly.
Yeah.
Like they're taking sets from everyone they play. They're doing competitive, whereas it seems Serbia have taken a developmental team and they're just bad.
But this is just their chance to get those developmental players, like for USA, get their developmental players international experience because they're all going to be playing domestically. But on the men's side, you're seeing the comparison of the college division versus anyone anywhere that has played internationally before.
It's just different. It's so different.
Yeah. But in the world, we have our Australian men's team now in Bahrain for the Nations Cup, for the Asian AVC Nations Cup, which will be interesting. They'll be hoping probably for a little bit of a higher finish than the women were able to get. I think they ended up finishing 7th.
They won their 7th
consolation,
place. Yeah,
in the consolation bracket, which is a fine result. They'd be reasonably happy with that. But the men, I think, best result in a couple of years, automatically qualify for quarterfinals.
Yeah, we did. So for context, Kazakhstan withdrew from the tournament and they were in Australia's pool. So that means Australia and Qatar automatically qualify for quarterfinals. There wasn't really any explanation of how that was going to happen, so I just assumed that they weren't going to play each other. But then
I really didn't understand that, and the people in the Discord definitely made fun of you, and you're like, they can just fit an extra game in against each other, just play the same team again.
But then it turns out they're playing each other tonight at 6. Well, it'll be...
If Australia can find a way to sneak a win against one of the better teams in the comp, they'll get a better quarterfinal matchup, and that'll help a lot. But
so their quarterfinal, their pool that they'll cross over with is South Korea and Vietnam. I think if you're thinking based off of how good those two countries traditionally are, I think you probably want to cross over with Vietnam over South Korea. South Korea are known to be pretty good. Vietnam, not bad. They're just not as good as South Korea traditionally have been. So I feel like that's the crossover that we would be hoping for if we went against Qatar. I haven't seen Qatar play in AVC because I think they played last year, but I didn't really watch it that much. So I don't know what to expect.
But if you're listening to this right now, right as it comes out, it happened yesterday night.
Yeah.
So you could go back and watch the VOD. These are at least all freely available.
Just on YouTube.
Yeah, which would be good. But hopefully they can somehow sneak a win against Qatar. The team's looking relatively good. They're looking with a good bit of spread. Still a little shallow at a few positions just because of the Australian system, I think. We're just still a little shallow at
a certain few positions. And
when
we'll do an Australian team, both men and women's deep dive at some stage. Just go through the roster, get some guests on.
After they finish their one tournament for the year.
Yeah, absolutely. But moving into what everyone really wants to hear about. The VVL.
The VVL. The best league in the world.
Best league in the world. We'll start with the men.
We can start with the men.
All right. Top 2. Oh, my God. Who was first?
Monash versus VFAM.
They were.
And I remember hearing this on the weekend and being a little surprised that something must happen because someone told me that Monash didn't really do anything funny. They started with their normal lineup, but they lost the first set. 27-25.
VFAM came out hot.
Yeah, and that obviously shook Monash a little bit, and they were pretty good from then on.
Yeah.
25-19, 25-22, and then the fourth set, 25-9. Is a bit more traditional Monash. Every team up there, needs a little kick every now and again to make sure you keep...
A little bit of accountability goes
keep
a long
everyone
way.
honest. Yeah. Which was the next game as well, was also a little bit of
Well,
honesty.
I was there for this. There's a little bit of context behind what happened here. But Maroondah Cobras, the young guns, took a set off Heidelberg. I think everyone's looking at this like, whoa. What happened? What happened was that Heidelberg were missing almost all of their main players except for one person. So I think they only
made set?
Sorry, they had two. They had Jazza setting and they had Manjot hitting. I don't know if Gopi ended up playing. But he was there. But they were missing Kamwa, Pawan. They were missing their main guys.
Yeah.
So they still went out and did it with one of their main hitters because Jazza normally is their second pass. Yeah.
It was close. It nearly went to 5. We're sitting there waiting for our game, and the last set went 26-24 as well. So
bit of desperation there, I reckon, from the Heidelberg guys to not.
Oh, they were a bit frustrated. They did not want to keep playing volleyball.
Yeah.
Which is sometimes a feeling you get on the weekend. You just want to be done and go home.
Yeah. Good on the Cobras boys for showing up and taking advantage of the weaker roster. And then there was your game.
Then there was us.
I'll let you talk about it because I wasn't there.
What is there to say?
You lost.
Yeah, we lost. I struggled. It was not my best game. I didn't open us up very well. Because I can talk about myself. I sucked.
That's all right.
Not a good game. Bit of a rut against this team.
It happens.
But we just struggled. We just couldn't really find our feet. Nothing really felt cohesive. We didn't really feel like a team that worked well or worked well around each other.
What was the set score?
Yeah, Yarra was they just looked like a team that everyone was working well together. We lost 3-1, 25-21, 25-18, and then we came back in the third and won 25-18, but when you're down 2-1,
knowing
going into
reverse.
A fourth, the mindset of knowing you have to reverse sweep, when honestly, even though we won that third set, it still didn't really feel like we were turning it around.
Like
sometimes when you reverse sweep, it's like, oh my God, we can reverse sweep. Still felt like a few things were a bit jagged.
I almost feel like, based on what I've heard from the team, is like this was like opposite to the first time we played them.
Yeah.
Like the first time we played them, everything felt natural.
Yeah.
Like everything felt in groove.
My fault. I wasn't there that time.
I was. Maybe it was me.
Yeah.
Maybe it was me.
Probably.
But this time it just sounds like we just struggled to get things going, especially our middles, which normally is our highlight. Like apparently we just didn't quite
it was a little bit
get
like
that going.
Yeah, serve reception probably wasn't as good as it normally has been, as it was in that previous game. And then our attacking was pretty inefficient, as we're not normally a high kill rate team, but we're usually pretty efficient. And then we are fine with rally win percentage being our main goal.
Yeah.
But like we've got a little bit longer of the season to iron it out and get back to
Our usual.
just trying to be a bit more aggressive.
That's all right. I think
We've got the easiest run to finals.
yeah, we do.
I made the graph.
Yeah, nice.
We do have one more probably big test against Monash, and that'll be us seeing start of the season to now that we can iron some things out.
Yeah. But credit to Yarra though. Like they had their full roster. They came to play. I didn't see it, but I'm just assuming they just did exactly what we did to them last time.
They do what they normally do.
Yeah, which is fine. This is a top of the ladder sort of battle. Next one and last one, and I said it last week as a joke, but like, it's almost not a joke at this point. Eastside went to 5.
This is the middle of the ladder matchup.
This was season defining. We did say that, and it's
why'd you have to go to 5? We had our pub crawl after this, and half of our team is stuck doing duty for this game.
Yeah.
And of course, Latrobe gets reverse swept.
Oh, they got reverse swept.
Yes,
too.
they were up 2-0 relatively
comfortably.
I didn't watch this whole game because I had
pub crawl.
a pub crawl.
You just left.
I did watch a little bit of the start, and they just had sort of like a comfortable couple point lead.
Yeah.
Versus I think in the third and fourth, based on the messages we were getting back and forth, they were just in an uncomfortable deficit to Eastside. Like Eastside got that comfortable lead
and just kept it.
which was just very unfortunate. This game just kept going, Really wanted Latrobe to find their feet again, but I think they got their feet swept out from underneath them.
Guys, I'm not lying. Eastside is the team that always goes to 5 in everything. All right.
Because just to contextualize that, this is one game that will probably influence it. Latrobe versus Eastside. Eastside's 6th on the ladder and Latrobe's 7th. Oof. Latrobe has a very difficult run of games coming.
Yeah.
So they might not be able to sneak back into the top 6 versus
because there is they're 8 points difference.
Yeah, there's a bit of a difference, but Eastside's now 3 wins separate from Latrobe. It's probably a pretty defendable position. I don't think they'll be getting knocked out.
Yeah,
they'll sneak into finals not sneak in, but Eastside, they're always that.
They're always
that team in finals.
They do every year.
They have some good finals performances in their history, so we'll see. We'll see if they can do something.
But moving on to the women, the first game of the day was us and Yarra. And I mostly called this out, but I was talking with some of the Yarra girls about this, and it's annoyingly one of those games where the scoreline doesn't really represent the quality of the game. It was a very high quality match, but Yarra did take it 3-0. I think I said last week that this will go one of two ways. This will be us taking really good advantage of a good situation because Yarra had some of their key players out and maybe getting the sneaky win, or Yarra just roll us in 3. They didn't quite roll us. They did take it in 3, but it was a very competitive match. 25-21, 26-24, 25-17. I did a bit of a Hail Mary lineup in that third set and it just did not.
It's too far away, so I can't bully you and roast you anymore because I can't even remember myself. But I remember being like, come on, you lose a set 26-24, you just run it back.
It was that, but the emotional damage from that set was because we had 2 set points, didn't win them, and I was like, and then I think the same thing happened in the Monash game, and I did the Hail Mary lineup, and then we took them to 5, and I was like, I could do this again.
Yeah, a bit of bias. You're like, I'll do it.
I'll do it again. I'll do it again. But
major second setter of pass it up.
It worked in the Monash game, and she knows it. But no, I think I've said this a few times, but Yarra just proving that they've got the smarts and maturity to figure their way out of situations, knowing they've got their main setter out, their other hitter still away. They were missing an opposite, and they still just problem solved way faster than what we did because we actually led most of the time sets 1 and 2, and then they just from the business end just took it. So yeah, Yarra just taking that 3-0, which is more or less expected, I think. Next one, Latrobe and VIP. VIP, since their first win, have figured it out.
Yeah, they've been rolling.
Yeah, so they 3-0'd Latrobe. I don't know the context of this game. I wasn't there. It was on another court while I was coaching. But it was kind of commanding win from VIP, 25-11, 25-18, 25-20. So good on VIP for figuring it out a couple of weeks back and really just
this is actually their first win.
Second win. Didn't they win last week?
No, they lost in 5 last week, but that was their tough one against VFAR.
Okay.
But they'd slowly started stringing together, winning a couple sets, but they lost in 5 really closely. That was a really high strung game
that they've
last round that we were all watching.
True, that's I remember that.
Yeah.
And then the next one was probably the most interesting result for the week. VFAM taking Monash to 5. I'm going to make a strong comparison here. VFAM are for the women what Eastside are for the men. The team that takes everyone to 5 and really challenges the team and stuff. This wasn't a reverse sweep like I initially thought. Kind of look at that. You look at that score and you kind of think maybe it could have been like that, but
no, they're just alternating the sets.
I didn't hear much about this game, so I don't know what happened, but I'm just assuming that Monash are a very heavy attacking team and VFAM are a very heavy defending team.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if each set, one team just did their strength better than the other and just went all the way to 5.
Monash is still getting wins, but it's maybe they'll be looking back at these last 3 rounds not so fondly. because they've had 3 5-setters in a row. A 5-set loss to Yarra, which is your top of the table matchup.
That is,
and then honestly, two lower teams, yourselves at Renegades and VFUM, winning those in 5, but going to 5. It's 3 matches in a row is probably a little bit of an uncomfortable.
It's not good for your percentages because they don't have the easiest run to finals. So if they lose a couple matches here and there, they are gambling on set percentage.
Yeah, they won't get knocked out of the lineup.
It'll just depend on who they play on that crossover, which for them, I think they're a team that maybe should be deciding that they can put themselves in a position of an easier matchup than a harder matchup.
Nah, just get that 1v6 matchup in
and then
the quarterfinal
all the way through.
Yeah,
it happens.
But I just meant it to be like it just shakes a little bit that you need to find your feet again.
Yeah.
You don't ever want to be winning in 5 sets or going to 5 sets against teams that you know you have the talent to beat them. But when you're going set for set, it just means you have to reflect a little bit on something's happening.
Absolutely, yeah. So the Cobras and Dandenong, this is pretty much Dandenong showing why they are one of the best teams in the comp. They just stormed through.
Why they're top of the ladder.
Top of the ladder at the moment. It was close. And I wasn't there for this, but I'm assuming this could be tossed up as another game that the score doesn't really represent the high quality because it's 25-22, 25-18, 25-20. You could go either way with this, but Dandenong just doing Dandenong things and storming through the comp, which is good for them. So that was round 10. We'll go to our sponsor for the week and we'll see you for round 11. This episode is brought to you by Andor Financial.
Now, as some of you know, a good friend of ours, good friend of the show, and our Melbourne Uni Renegades captain, Michael Cirillo, has recently started his own mortgage broking business.
Not only this, but Mike and Andor Financial have committed to supporting and sponsoring Net Talk for the indefinite future.
If you didn't know, Mike has spent the last 10 years in the finance industry in both financial planning and mortgage broking roles and is super passionate about empowering people to take control of their financial future.
So you or if anyone you know is in need of a home loan or would like to review their current lending situation, reach out to Mike and Andor Financial.
You can find out more information in the footnotes or description down below.
Thank you again to Andor Financial for sponsoring Net Talk. And we're back.
Looking at next week, the week ahead, tomorrow, today. Depends on when you're listening, really.
I was like, what?
Well, it depends on when you're listening.
Yeah, all right. Fair enough.
You know, you could be on your drive right now and we're going to tell you that you're going to lose tomorrow.
Yeah, we're going to get in. We're going to be playing the mind games before you even get to your game.
Yeah, well, oh no, I thought we had a bye this week, actually. But
no, next week. Next week. We're starting with the match of the week.
Starting with the men.
No, we're not. I lied.
No, we're not.
I lied.
I was very confused.
I was scrolled down the page further than I needed to.
Yeah, I thought I might have just got extra dyslexic.
Yeah. No.
We've got Eastside versus Yarra taking you off in the afternoon at Empower. They'll get some balls to hit the roof.
That'll also go to 5. I'm telling you, it'll go to 5. It's not. It's almost. It's not. Is it a curse or is it a blessing?
See, we'll do a match predictor for this, like the VNL fantasy match predictor, where you pick the winner and the scoreline, and you'd be getting bonus points every week picking Eastside 5.
I'm going. I'm going 3-2 to Yarra.
No. 3-2 Eastside. Oh,
sure. Yeah. Right.
I got someone. Yarra will be comfortable there. I think they're starting to get back to their full strength.
It's not that Yarra won't be comfortable. It's that Eastside are going to dig in. And they're going to go to 5.
Yeah.
The next match is match of the week.
Yeah, something that'll be interesting to watch. We've picked a couple matches of the week now that just aren't at Dandenong. So this one's at Monash. If you're out at Monash,
we can't help it.
But it'll be a good one to watch. We'll try and make sure we find some get some feedback about what happens in this game.
Yeah,
because it's Phantoms versus Monash. This is your 2v3 matchup.
Phantoms proving that they're a team to be reckoned with this year.
Yeah.
Some years they are, some years they aren't. It just depends on who they've
It's got. Just the difficulty of being a
country team.
Quote-unquote country team. Yeah. You have a lot of players that move around, go to uni and whatnot, but they've got a few guys that had previously played seasons elsewhere that are back for them.
And they're like, it's looking like kind of an all-star like college team almost.
Yeah.
And some of their players used to play Monash.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this will be a good one.
Bit of heckling.
Yeah.
Talk some shit.
I want to see the footage of this. I think it'll be funny. But that's match of the week.
Not that anyone
Can hear heckling from
but also I was like, not that anyone on this team is really grumpy players that'll be having some punch-ons through the net, you know. Volleyball needs some of that. We need some enforcers.
We need some what's going on in the WNBA.
In the WNBA, some Sophie Cunningham.
We need some of that, yeah. Just a bit of spice.
Yeah, you just need someone,
All right, and then the next one, Maznod and Cobras. This one also kind of could go to 5.
Yeah, it could. Cobras have found a bit more form. They've got a few players that are now joining them midway through the season.
Yeah. Bit more seniority.
Yeah.
Mazenod, they've proven that they can take some top teams to 5 and 4. Yeah. So I just wonder if, is this their opportunity to go and get a win, or is this Cobras just finding more momentum? Depends, I guess. And then it's you guys.
Then it's us.
At Empower. There's definitely going to be another game where some balls hit the roof.
Hope so. Do we hit the ball hard enough?
No, you don't.
I don't. High Long Strong, buddy, is the international hitting zone.
That's the AIS special.
How many times do they get the ball to hit the roof at VNL?
0. The roof is like 100 metres in the air, but sure. I'm sure Boyer could probably do it. Kira Van Rijk did it a week ago off someone's head on a block. Did you see that?
No.
So she's hit the ball and the middle block is doing like these ones.
Yeah.
And it's gone right into her head and it's gone straight into the ceiling. And you can tell when they call the point early because the ball doesn't come down.
Back. Yeah.
And this poor girl, she was awfully concussed and I think she was in tears.
Gets yelled at by the coach for doing this too. One of these ones.
No, I think in that moment the coach was just like,
fair enough.
You ate that ball.
I mean, Kira Van Rijk's been hitting some heavy balls. Was she top server week 1?
She
heaps
was.
of aces, I think.
Yeah. And she hits the ball at 110 k's.
Look at that sneaking some VNL chit chatting to your VVL day.
I'm telling you, the balls are going to hit the roof.
Yeah.
This will be fun for you guys.
Hope so. Fun.
Never do that again. This will be good chance for you guys to figure it out, but also kind of a good chance for VFUM to figure some things out as well. And then the last game of the week is a bit of a rough one.
Top versus tail of the ladder.
Yeah, it happens. But Dandenong just go out there and have a whack.
Yeah, I mean, they're not winless and they've got 2 wins this season and have snuck a few sets against top teams. So
you never know. Heidelberg might not come with their main lineup and you might be a really good chance.
Yeah, they might roll in after hitting warm-up's already started. So maybe be extra scared if they do that though.
They're almost deadlier when they don't warm up. It's really frustrating. And then over on the women's side, we're starting with the match of the week.
At 12:30 at Dandenong.
At Dandenong. This is
all the people there.
One of the few times we're at Dandenong for the match of the week. Dandenong versus Heidelberg.
Top of the ladder versus 5th.
But pretty much 2nd or 3rd through 6th on the women's ladder are pretty much same points.
Yes.
More or less. Some of them haven't played as many games, but they're more or less all on the same points.
Yeah.
This will be a really interesting one because I believe Dandenong have lost one of their main players. So I just am unsure of how that will impact them as a team. And Heidelberg,
who's going to slide up into that spot?
Yeah, and they've had a couple of rough games over the last few weeks, and I just wonder. I think they come back with a bit of fire and go nah, this is our chance to, because they've had the bye week. They've had a break.
I've got a couple of rough games the last couple of weeks. They're all 3-0
against them.
No, they've won 3-0 the last 4 weeks.
That has to be a lie.
Mate, I'm defending our Dandenong listener that says you always talk down Dandenong women, but they're the best team in the league for a reason.
They lost to Yarra 2 weeks ago. Oh, wait.
They lost to Yarra. The last time they went to 5 sets was in round 5.
Sorry, they had one rough loss before having a bye round. They lost against Cobras. I guess that's not a rough loss.
What round are you looking at?
I'm looking at round 9.
They played Latrobe in round 9. The Premier.
I'm talking about Heidelberg, brother.
Oh, the Heidelberg women. Oh, you said Dandenong has had some rough weeks.
Oh, did I? I definitely meant
so.
Heidelberg.
Oh, I was coming to defend our Dandenong listener that says you always down talk him. I thought you were talking. Maybe I
talked him up.
Maybe I misheard that.
This podcast is just the blind leading the blind at this point.
Yes, cut that bit. Cut everything. Podcast done. See you guys.
Looking for 2 new hosts.
Sorry, Heidelberg has had some shaky.
Heidelberg had a rough loss a couple of weeks back. Then they had a bye, and now they're back. So I'm wondering if they're back with a bit of vengeance against what may be a weaker Dandenong side, or may just be as strong as and deep as ever. Unsure. My team is dutying this, so I will get to watch it, and I'll have plenty of comments, I'm sure.
You don't have to be there for duty.
Yeah, I don't, but
be there to watch anyway.
And then it's Yarra versus VIP. This is a bit rough for VIP after getting their first win, because I'm pretty sure Yarra back to full strength this week.
Yeah.
But they did fall asleep against MAVSL a couple of weeks back, and then they reverse swept them. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, but I think Yarra have got it in the bag on this one, unfortunately.
Got that one covered. And then Phantoms versus Monash out at Monash at 2:30.
It's almost hard to predict what's going to happen with how Monash has been playing, but I wonder if they really turn up for this one, knowing that, as we spoke about, they need to win a bit more cleanly to secure their top position.
And Phantoms needs to find some wins to get back up into the top 6. They're just outside. A couple wins away from it, though, so there is a little bit of a gap. You just don't want that to widen, so you don't want to be going into rounds 15, 16, 17, 18.
Yeah.
I need to win every single game to make finals. So you've got to try and get your wins earlier.
Speaking of a team that needs to win to get to finals, it's us versus VFAM. So VFAM proving they can really go the distance with a lot of teams. So I think my communication to the girls has been like, all right, we've got to play as best as we can for as long as we can, knowing that you cannot go to 2 sets up against VFAM and not expect them to roll over. They will definitely fight all the way to 5 every single time. And I'm sure VFAM are almost saying the same thing.
And you haven't played them yet this season?
We have not
Correct?
played them
so
yet.
You're going back to last time you would have matched up with them is at a couple pre-season tournaments. So you'll have to, well, they were under a different name. A fair few of the players play. You played them at a few different tournaments?
Yeah, but it was a very different team. I don't
so you'll
know if it's comparable.
see how you match up now.
I think we match up really well. I think for us it's mental, because we've had a really tough middle of the season against a lot of top teams. So I think for us it's just going to be about how resilient are we from bouncing back from that and coming in. Next one is Maznod and Cobras. Cobras have been on a roll other than playing Dandenong on the weekend. They've been on a roll. So I think they've got this one in the bag. I'd like to see Maznod. They've slowly taken sets and sets and sets and sets. I just don't know if have they gotten their first win yet?
Maznod women have not.
They have not. So I don't know if they're going to do that against Cobras, but it would be a good showing if they went out and did, because they took Yarra to 5.
Yeah, took Yarra to 5, had their bye as well.
Yeah.
So we'll be seeing. Hopefully they can come back with a bit of gusto. Get some service pressure behind the baseline, do everything right, and that can be a sneaky little win there.
Yeah. It's certainly doable. That's the compliment I have to the women's competition this year, is that there's probably a lot of teams that could suddenly upset some of the top teams.
Yeah. The floor's not so low as it has been.
Yeah, because there has been years, and I think last year's competition, for those who played and have said certain comments to me about, like, last year it was very top heavy. Like, there were top 3 teams and no one was catching them. Whereas this year it's a little bit more like, there's like everything is sort of on the table.
Yeah, the 3rd through 6th, they're all equal wins at the moment.
Yeah. And then the gap between 7, 8 and 6 and 5 isn't actually that big. And then, so it's really good to see. Yeah.
That brings us to the end.
It does.
So relax, get back to watching some international volleyball.
Yeah, hopefully you've been listening the entire drive to Dandenong. Perfect 45 minutes. Let's see what we're on. Yeah, 44 minutes. Nailed it. Well, it takes us like 48 minutes to get to Dandenong. Probably doesn't take anyone else that long other than the Phantoms people. Yeah.
Takes them longer. Listen to the same episode twice. Get us the listening statistics.
Or just only listen every round. So that's every 2 rounds. So you could listen for an hour and a half and you'd be there. Perfect. Thanks for tuning in this week. We will see everyone potentially on Saturday if you're at Dandenong, because I'm not going to any other venue. I don't think.
I'll be in Power.
Can you look for my coaching book, please? Thanks. I actually looked everywhere for it. It was gone.
Yeah, I stole it. I wanted your coaching insights.
Could you read any of it?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
Probably not.
All right. We'll see you all in the next one.
Bye.